The first scheduled C919 commercial flight between the mainland and Hong Kong. Tens of thousands in the city usher in 2025 with a colorful fireworks display. And New Year's celebrations in other parts of the world. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us on the first day of 2025. China's homegrown C919 large passenger jetliner today made its first round-trip commercial flight between Shanghai and Hong Kong. The airline hopes this will help the aircraft expand its international reach. Jackie Lin reports.
The ceremony at Shanghai Hongqiao Airport celebrates the inaugural scheduled C919 commercial flight between Shanghai and Hong Kong. This Hong Kong passenger said she's very excited to board the C919 flight as her birthday also falls on September 19th. This passenger said it's like hitting the jackpot, as she wasn't expecting that she could take this notable flight on the first day of the new year. Almost a full flight on board. Shang Feng, the China Eastern Airlines captain flying the C919, said he wishes the regular scheduled flights will let more travelers feel the development and progress of the country's civil aviation technology. A special framed boarding pass as a special gift to passengers. The C919 jet took off at 8 a.m. sharp. It landed in Hong Kong at around 10:40 a.m. and was greeted by a water salute. Passengers received souvenirs from the Hong Kong Tourism Board as well. Commenting on the in-flight experience, this passenger said the aircraft was new and spacious. China Eastern said the C919 jet is scheduled for one round-trip flight per day between Shanghai and Hong Kong. The return trip to Shanghai on Wednesday departed from Hong Kong at around noon. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan hopes Hong Kong can play a part in bringing the C919 aircraft to an international stage.
We do hope that through this inaugural flight, we can innovate and establish ourselves, flourish in our civil aviation in Hong Kong, so as to demonstrate how our position under the one country, two systems, to demonstrate our advantage of using mainland's resources, but with Hong Kong's position to flourish.
Stanley Hui, president of the Hong Kong Aircraft Leasing and Aviation Finance Association, who also served as a CEO of multiple airlines, expects the C919 aircraft to receive its airworthiness certificate from the European Union in September at the earliest. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
In his New Year's message, Chief Executive John Lee said Hong Kong has emerged from the pandemic and regained its economic vitality with the support of the country.
展望2025年
Looking forward to 2025, the city leader said the government will focus on two major goals. One is to seek reform and take the initiative to adapt to changes in the internal and external environment, while aligning with the national development strategy. The second goal is to explore emerging markets, consolidate regional cooperation, and enhance Hong Kong's international influence. John Lee added the government will implement a series of measures to improve people's livelihood. They include the completion of 9,500 basic housing units and 3 community living rooms. The first Chinese medicine hospital will also be established. Events celebrating the arrival of 2025 have been taking place all across Hong Kong, attracting revelers from home and abroad. This as more than 400,000 people gathered around Victoria Harbour to watch the New Year's fireworks display. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Spectacular fireworks at Victoria Harbour ushered in the new year. The fireworks musical, themed the Symphony of Happiness, included 5 scenes featuring the 5 elements of Chinese philosophy: fire, earth, wood, water, and metal. The first scene, named Fire Dance, consisted of red fireworks symbolizing fiery passion for life and dreams. Another scene with the name of Light of the Future presents rainbow-colored smoke against silver fireworks, symbolizing an auspicious spirit. Some visitors describe their experience at the Harborside show. This tourist from Shenzhen said the final scene of fireworks filling up the sky was stunning and appreciated the beauty of the show. While this mainland visitor hopes 2025 will be a better year and wished everyone happiness and wealth. Chief Executive John Lee, who officiated at the countdown event, wished for residents' dreams to come true and better business for various sectors in the city. Bidding 2024 farewell, many residents chose to celebrate in the New Year's Eve hotspot of Lan Kwai Fong. With music blasted from speakers mixed with firecrackers, the occasion matched the festive spirit at Victoria Harbour. In Causeway Bay, the noonday gun followed tradition by firing a shot at midnight to welcome the new year. On Lantau Island, a giant bell was rung 3 times at the Big Buddha upon the arrival of 2025, with each ring symbolizing health, fulfillment, and longevity. Revelers were also treated to a drone show above the Buddhist monastery, which featured icons of joy and fortune. Meanwhile, a total of 156,000 visitors entered Hong Kong on New Year's Eve, of which 77% were mainland tourists. With 25,000 departing the city via the border past midnight, authorities said that the overall process ran smoothly. The government noted it will assess the situation and consider whether further border crossing extensions will be needed in future. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The arrival of 2025 was celebrated across the globe. David Garrett with some of the highlights.
The famous ball ready to drop in Times Square. 6 tons of crystal triangles signalling New Year in New York. As ticker tape filled the air, revellers focused on their nearest and dearest. Old Lang Syne played and people shouted for joy if their mouths were free. It started in Auckland, the first major city to ring in 2025 as it became New Year in New Zealand. A light show against the backdrop of the Sky Tower. Robbie Williams was the one to lead the countdown in Sydney. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year! A spectacular fireworks display followed the countdown, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and then the Opera House surrounded by an array of colours as 1 million lined the waterway. Taiwan hitting midnight at the same time as Hong Kong. Taipei's 101 Tower was at the centre as golden shoots of light brought in the new year. To the tallest skyscraper of them all, the 830-metre Burj Khalifa in Dubai. A dazzling light show set to music, starting the fun in the Middle East's top tourist destination. Cities around the world competing with each other to put on the best display. People around the globe watching others in far-off lands enjoying their night. All for the same reason, with similar dreams.
Hopes for the coming year to be even better. To see my family happy, to be successful in what I do, and as usual, for the world to be more in peace.
Across the English Channel, the UK's capital staged the biggest show in Europe. Big Ben striking 12 to herald the new year. 125,000 fireworks blasting into the sky at 0000 hours GMT, as inclement weather couldn't stop London throwing a party.
We can on the TV show, like with Big Ben, and every building is beautiful. Also we can see the London Eyes and the many bridges are here. So that's why I came here with the modern buildings, because I'm living in Italy right now.
In Italy's largest city, Rome, the Colosseum was lit up as once again fireworks danced in the night sky. Cheers from the crowds almost drowning out the noise from the pyrotechnics. And in Syria, many celebrated the first year in 5 decades without the Assad family in power. Bashar al-Assad, who took over from his father, was toppled last month. People danced and sang, saying they're looking forward to a brighter future. David Garrett, TVB News.
The mainland has just one day of holiday to celebrate the New Year's Day, but many Chinese still took the opportunity to travel across the country, with the railway network expected to handle 11.5 million passenger trips today. Some chose to head to Beijing's Tiananmen Square to watch the first flag-raising ceremony of 2025. Some also brought along the 5-star red flags to the square. Meanwhile, the country's 3 astronauts sent New Year's greetings from the Shenzhou 19 space stations. They also captured the first light of dawn in 2025 from the station. The Shenzhou 19 crew have been in orbit for 2 months. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un attended New Year's Eve celebrations with his daughter. State media released images showing Kim and Ju-ae waving in front of thousands as they welcomed in the new year at the May Day Stadium. Other photos show singers and dancers on ice skates. There also appears to be shots of fireworks. Pyongyang has not broadcast a live display since 2018. Grieving relatives of the people killed in Sunday's plane crash in South Korea have visited the site to pay respects to their loved ones. Families have begun preparing for funerals after authorities finished identifying the 179 victims. South Korea's transport ministry says it will send the plane's flight data recorder to the United States for analysis. Tracy Furness has more.
Relatives of the victims of a fatal plane crash in South Korea visited Muan International Airport on New Year's Day for a traditional memorial service. They bowed deeply before the crash site, taking in turns laying white flowers. All of the victims were South Koreans except for 2 Thais. Many were returning from Bangkok after the Christmas holidays. Only 2 of the 181 people aboard the Boeing 737-800 operated by Jeju Air survived.
승객 불편을 최소화할 수 있는
Jeju Air CEO Kim Bae announced that the airline will reduce its volume of operation by 10 or 15% during the winter season in order to strengthen its operational safety. He began the briefing by once again apologizing to the victims and families, saying the airline will do everything it can to ensure safety and regain customers' trust. South Korea's transport ministry said it will send the flight data recorder of the plane to the United States for analysis. The ministry said authorities are looking at maintenance and operation records during 5 days of safety checks that are to run until Friday. The South Korean government has launched safety inspections on all of the 101 Boeing 737-800s in the country. A 7-day national mourning has been declared until January 4th, with New Year's celebrations being scaled back. The crash was the deadliest disaster in South Korea's aviation history in decades. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Still ahead, Panama's president reaffirms the Panama Canal will remain in his country's possession. A traffic accident on the West Kowloon Highway leaves 3 dead and 4 injured. And meet Hong Kong's New Year baby. Welcome back. A traffic accident on the West Kowloon Highway in the early hours of New Year's Day left 3 people dead and 4 others injured. A 65-year-old taxi driver was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving causing death. Jackie Lin reports.
After the incident, firefighters had to pry open a private car with tools to extricate the injured. One of them was certified dead at the scene. The deceased was reportedly the driver of the black private car. Another injured person, unconscious at the time, was carried away. Sources say a passenger aboard the black car was thrown out of the vehicle during the crash. The collision happened at 1:44 a.m. on the southbound carriageway of the West Kowloon Highway near the MTR Olympic Station. Dashcam footage shows a taxi cutting across the traffic lanes. A black private car was seen driving at high speed along the fast lane. The taxi collided with a black car. The taxi, with a driver and 2 passengers on board, bounced back to the central lane and hit another taxi. Other vehicles were seen parked on the shoulder of the road. Dashcam footage taken from the opposite side of the highway shows the private car scratching against the central divider, whipping up dust into the air. The wrecked vehicle's components were strewn across the ground, including an engine and a door. The impact of the crash evident in the badly mangled front of the black car. A baby stroller was thrown out of the vehicle. Police said there were 5 people in the private car. The driver died at the scene. 2 other men in his car were found unconscious and pronounced dead later at hospital. 2 other passengers were injured, while the 2 taxi passengers also suffered minor injuries. Another private car hit from its rear. Investigations are still continuing. One of the taxi drivers said his car was rammed from behind and he wasn't sure which vehicle was the culprit. All traffic lanes at the scene were cordoned off, leaving multiple vehicles and buses stuck at the site for more than 2 hours. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The Society for Community Organization, or SOCO, in collaboration with the Children's Rights Association, held a press conference today at Sham Shui Po. They released a report which indicated that child poverty in Hong Kong has shown little improvement over the past decade. Anip has the story.
The press conference was held by children of the local community, where they presented a report revealing that among nearly 1 million children in Hong Kong, 1 in 5 lives in poverty. The report also noted that although the government's anti-poverty performance improved slightly in 2024, it still failed to meet expectations, with the association rating related policies a 26 out of 100 points. Of 10 assessed areas, the inability to apply for family reunification for mothers from mainland China and discrimination against new immigrant families received an average score of 0. The president of the association, Wendy Lam, says 0 points were given to these fields because no policy improvements were made to the issues. In terms of housing, while 5 points were given, the highest among all categories, the report indicates that some young children have lived in subdivided flats for 7 years without being housed properly. This member of the association said children living in cramped conditions at home may only be able to do their homework on the bed, damaging their spinal health. The president of the association, Lam, added that these housing conditions are not conducive for students to study.
Most of us is living at some not suitable house and not enough space to learning. It will make our mark become more low.
The report recommends prioritizing children and public housing allocation, providing rental subsidies and temporary housing for residents living in substandard accommodation, as well as offering 2 free meals to impoverished students. Lam said she joined SOCO due to her low-income family background and aspires to assist other families in similar situations. She believes that SOCO can make a meaningful impact on the lives of those in need. And TVB News.
Hong Kong welcomed several newborns on the first day of 2025. The first baby delivered at the city's public hospital, a baby boy, was born at 12:07 a.m. at the Prince of Wales Hospital. Princess Margaret also welcomed a baby boy and a baby girl in the early morning. Both newborns are the first children of their respective mothers. And Panama yesterday celebrated the 25th anniversary of the U.S. handover of the Panama Canal, which U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to take back. Panama's president emphasized national ownership of the canal and reaffirmed it would remain in his country's possession. Danny Zhou has the story.
A solemn ceremony attended by hundreds of guests was held in the garden of the Panama Canal Authority headquarters. It was the site that witnessed the official handover of the Panama Canal by the U.S. to the Panamanian government. Speaking at the ceremony, President José Raúl Mulino said the Panama Canal has to be and has to continue to be the canal of Panamanians for Panamanians at the world's service, but above all, for Panamanians mainly. The U.S. inaugurated the canal in 1914 and operated the waterway until December 31st, 1999. Washington then transferred the administration, operation and maintenance of the canal to the Central American country. 25 years on, the critical waterway has been expanded and underwent major construction projects. The event was made more poignant by the commemoration of the recently deceased Jimmy Carter. A moment of silence was paid to the former U.S. president. In 1977, a treaty was signed in Washington between Carter and then Panama leader Omar Torrijos. It abolished the 85-year colonial enclave of the Panama Canal Zone and set in motion the gradual handover of the canal. Mulino praised the two leaders, saying they had the vision and nobility to take the road of justice, while stressing the canal is going to stay in our hands forever. Donald Trump said the waterway linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans was a vital national asset for the U.S. The American president-elect threatened to retake control of the canal if what he called exorbitant shipping fees are not lowered. Mulino has ruled out lowering tolls for U.S. vessels and claimed there is no discrimination against warship from any country that traverses the passage. Currently, under a neutrality treaty between the two countries, the U.S. reserves the right to exert military force to defend the Panama Canal against any threat to its neutrality. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Wishing everyone a happy new year. World Report is up shortly. Bye for now.